Hey folks, David Stewart here. Time for some more Storycraft, and today we are going to talk about aesthetics. Yes, beauty, hot chicks, and what purpose they serve in stories. Despite what you may have heard about the evil of the male gaze or about objectifying women, it's very important to have beauty be a central part of your storytelling execution. And in fact, you don't have to have a hot chick in your story, but it's a really, really good tool that you should have at your disposal. This is very true in the visual spaces like movies and comics, that beauty is something which draws the eye and is pleasurable to look upon for its own sake. But it also works in the narrative spaces because a beautiful character, a hot chick, is not just something to look at, but actually serves some story purposes, and that is the core of what I want to talk about today in this Storycraft video. So, a great example that we've had for 50 years now, more than 50 years, is the Bond girl. Every single James Bond movie, you have a different girl that gets attached to James Bond in different ways. Now, the actual type of character that beautiful woman is different for every movie, and not necessarily for every movie, but it's usually different across different movies, meaning you could have a character that's like a femme fatale. You could have just a goody two-shoes kind of beautiful girl that we want James Bond to have a relationship with. It could be a very seductive girl that is trying to manipulate James Bond. That'd be the femme fatale. Or James Bond is going to seduce this beautiful girl in order to get closer to his plot goal of the main story. Most of these exist in what we call the B story space. That is, they're a subplot. They're not the main plot. The main plot is usually James Bond trying to take down a villain or something. And the romance plot is a B story. And that B story is really effective in storytelling because if we identify with the protagonist, like James Bond, we like him. We want him to end up with the pretty girl. And what's great about presenting a beautiful girl on screen is that you immediately recognize her as beautiful and desirable. You don't have to do a lot of work to make the audience desire that girl to end up with the protagonist. You put her on screen, you put her in a bathing suit or something else which shows off her beauty, and then you're going to want that main character to end up with her. And this works outside of James Bond as well. It works in pretty much every single format that you can think of. So if you are looking at something like a romantic comedy, just put a beautiful girl on screen. We're going to want the protagonist to end up with that beautiful girl, even if the protagonist is not, an alpha male kind of person like James Bond. So it works really great in that to create some tension. We want to see that relationship matriculate. Likewise, a beautiful girl, even as a main character, provides a certain kind of fantasy identity for women. So women like to look at beautiful women just like men like to look at beautiful women, but not in the same way. Men tend to look more lustfully. Women look more in a fantasy kind of way. So women would look at beautiful women the way men would look at like Conan the Barbarian, is that you want to be that character and you like what that physical great aesthetics is bringing to the character. You want to have those aesthetics, and so you kind of experience some fantasy elements when you see a beautiful girl. So if you are having if you have a story where the main character is female, it's a really, really good idea to have that main character, that female main character, be very beautiful. The men will like her, they'll like to look at her, and they'll also want that girl to succeed. Right away, you're on the side of whoever's beautiful. That's just the way it is. If you see beauty, you are going to immediately want that beauty to be successful in some way. Even if it's like an evil character that's beautiful, you want them to be good, or the beauty represents like another flavor of danger to, say, a protagonist. Like, oh, she's so beautiful, I wonder if she's going to seduce him or something like that. So even if the female main character is beautiful, or even if you have a female main character, you want her to be beautiful because of all of the fantasy elements that go with that. So beauty is something that you can really, really use. You can also use it in a different way, and this has been done in a number of, say, romantic comedies, like teen romantic comedies. You have a girl who's beautiful but disguised. So, she's nerdy, or she wears glasses and has her like hair up or something. And then she has a makeover at some point, or she changes some small thing about her, and then you can see that she's really beautiful. And this works great in a story if you're going to have, say, a romance, where you want the male character to love the female character for reasons other than her beauty. In other words, you want the male character to appreciate something other than the character's beauty. Then you reveal her as beautiful, and he gets everything he wants. And the woman, it feels secure that the man like loves her beyond her beauty, but she also gets to be beautiful. Kind of best of both worlds. You can see in the literary space, if we move away from the visual space, the literary space, you're going to describe characters as beautiful by describing traits that people are generally going to be attracted to or going to find neutral. So I talked about this in the book Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. The main character, Bella Swan, is described as very pale, and the character describes herself as pale in a way that she's self-conscious about it. But fair skin or dark skin doesn't on its own convey any kind of beauty. There's dark-skinned women who are beautiful, and there's light-skinned women who are beautiful. So the tone of your skin doesn't affect the beauty. It's really about the features. However, her having that insecurity, that's something girls can easily identify with. There's some trait about your body. Maybe you're a little insecure. Maybe you feel like your nose is too big, or there's some other thing that you're self-conscious about with your body, something that you maybe view as a flaw. And that lets you kind of fantasizes that character, but at the same time, that's a neutral trait, and we are really able to see through the way other characters interact with Bella Swan that she's actually very attractive. Not only is she very attractive, but the hyper-attractive vampire character is attracted to her, so we get the idea that she's attractive based on how other characters react to her. So you get that fantasy of a character being attractive. In romance novels, this is a really common thing. The woman will be very beautiful as well as the man, and you'll describe the traits that are beautiful directly, like he had chiseled abs or something, and you're going to describe the traits which are neutral in a way, or the traits that are viewed as bad maybe, or physical flaws. You're actually going to describe neutral ones, such as skin tone, eye color. It's like, I have boring brown eyes. Like, brown eyes are not any more boring than something else. They're a color. Everybody has a different color eye, and some people really like brown eyes, and other people like light colored eyes, and other people, it doesn't matter. They just want beautiful eyes on beautiful people. So things that are neutral, we tend to describe as flaws, because we want the woman to be a little bit self-conscious and feel a little bit more real. Everybody feels like they have some flaws, but we always want them to be beautiful. So that's the importance of beauty when it comes to most kinds of storytelling, whether it's in the narrative form or it's in the visual space. And there's an extra element too, which is that, when you're advertising, if you are going to make a romance novel, if you put a beautiful, romance is directed towards a woman, so you wouldn't use this picture. You'd use you'll see them like dudes with they cut the top half of the face off, so you see the chin with maybe some slight stubble, right? And then a shaved chest with really lean, ripped pecs and chiseled abs. And that's what's going to sell that romance novel, because the first step to attracting a reader is to get them to visually pay attention to what's there. So the book cover is really important. I keep talking about the importance of book covers, but in romance, it's really important that you have someone beautiful on the cover. It would be a bad idea to write a romance novel and then not include some sort of beautiful model on the cover. Ideally, you'd have the dude with the chiseled abs, and you'd have some sort of beautiful woman, but you probably wouldn't show her face. There's this idea that you really shouldn't show faces too much on romance novels, because it kind of eliminates people's ability to role play as that character, to have that fantasy. I don't really think that's true. I think you can go either way, but it's good to have beautiful people on your cover. Likewise, James Bond posters often have a beautiful woman on them, whether she's in a slightly revealing nightgown, or she's in a swimsuit, or something like that. Having that beautiful appearance, having that beautiful woman on the cover, that beautiful man on the cover of your movie or your book, is going to get people who are walking, because we pay attention to beauty. That's in our nature, right? It's in our nature to be attracted to beauty. We're going to stop and we're going to look at that beautiful woman. It's like that meme of the guy looking, and his girlfriend's all upset because he's noticing beauty, right? But we all notice beauty. So if you can get your book cover to feature someone beautiful, then it really can help out the sales, because that's going to focus that person's attention on on the cover. It's part of what's there. So if they see it on a shelf, they're gonna find it. If they see it in the digital space, then they're going to find it as well. So it's good for advertising. And then lastly, you may hear people talk about bad movies full of beautiful people, or why people would watch Baywatch. And Baywatch was full of beautiful people. And so you can have a show that really is just carried by the aesthetics of the humans involved. I'm not talking about broader aesthetics, but just the aesthetic quality of the people that are in it makes something worth watching because we enjoy beauty. So generally, if you have the option, you should hire, if you're in the movie business, all things considered, I think might be a better idea in fact, I think it is probably a better idea to hire a more attractive female actress versus one who is better at acting. Because that more attractive female actress will help you sell the movie, because you can put her on the posters, and people will forgive the acting flaws if they really enjoy looking at a beautiful girl. That's just reality, and you can see that in Hollywood. Many actresses are successful not because they're great at their craft, but rather because they're very beautiful and they have traits that really make them stand out. That's the last thing I'll say about beauty. This is just a general thing with aesthetics, is that a unique trait, if every visual face trait is in perfect balance, nothing is really going to stand out about the person. Usually there's one thing that will stand out. You'll notice this with models if you pay attention to makeup models. Very bright blue eyes, or a really distinctive color of eyes, a certain shape of lips that are a little bit different. Maybe the nose is slightly too big, or there's like a rounded nose, which is a little bit different. That's fine, because that makes that person identifiable and unique. Scarlett Johansson's probably a good example. She has kind of an oversized nose. Her nose is a little bit of an odd shape. It's not a nose that people go, oh, well, that's a beautiful nose, but it makes her face easily identifiable, and she's still very beautiful, even without having some kind of perfectly shaped nose or something like that. Likewise, the rest of the shape of the body, breast size, those sorts of things. Those things that make a person unique, it's okay to have those things which are a little bit out of, the perfect example, because that makes that person identifiable, and the uniqueness will also draw the eye. So that's the hard part about finding something that's really beautiful that draws the eye, is that it's beautiful, but it also has some kind of unique element that somebody's like, I haven't seen that before. Especially with men. Men are attracted to novelty when it comes to beauty. You like to see a variation that you haven't seen before. That's just kind of the way the male mind works there when it comes to observing beauty and being attracted to beautiful females. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Newest book. Where do I have it? I have it here somewhere. It's called Tyrant's Gallow, but it is the sequel to City of Silver. So if you haven't read City of Silver, it's 99 cents on Kindle store, or you can get the paperback for like $6.99. I think this paperback's $8.99. Pretty cheap for this one, and it's a little bit longer. So if you liked the first one, you wanted more characters, more action, you can check out Tyrant's Gallow. Came out on Tuesday, and you can get the physical version of both of those as well. So thanks so much, and I will see you all next time.